What you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, what you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, whoa, welcome to the Hope TV. What you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, what you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, whoa, welcome to the Hope TV. What you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, what you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, whoa, welcome to the Hope TV. What you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, what you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, whoa, welcome to the Hope TV. What you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, what you're looking for, you can find it here on the Hope TV. What you're looking for, whoa, welcome to the Hope TV.
And after staring at him for 2 weeks, he finally said,
Relationships with our men. If you have not seen part 1, go back and view that. Make sure that you're going at Hope TV so that you can do those things. We had a great discussion, 3 men, and we've got these 3 men back for our part 2, our second portion of it. And I'm going to introduce them really quickly. Go ahead. You know the routine. Go on and share, like, make sure you text your girlfriends, let them know that part 2 is on and we're about to get really, really, really into it. Because you know I love talking about relationships. So let me introduce our guest while you're doing that. Our first guest, he's back again. He is the associate pastor of the Aimwell Baptist Church. He's my homeboy from Macon, Georgia. Good guy. He's wonderful. He's good with youth, good with young adults, good with older people. Everybody loves him. And his name is Pastor Trayon Woolfolk. Let's welcome him back again. Hey, Pastor Trey.
Hey, Maria. Hey, thank you so much for having me back on. I enjoyed the first episode.
I'm glad that you were here with us. We had a good time in that part 1. Our second person that's with us today, I shouldn't just say person, he's a great guy, great man. We are so privileged to have him. Glad he was able to clear his schedule to be with us today. He's a great encourager, pastor, friend, brother, and a great friend of the House of Hope Atlanta. So let's welcome back again, Bishop Samuel Blakes. Bishop Blakes, so glad to have you.
Hey, Maria, thank you so much for having me.
Glad you're with us again. And last but definitely not least, he is Hope TV, as I said before. He's the man with the plan and the visionary of the House of Hope Atlanta Greater Travelers Rest. We love him. He's my pastor, my brother, my friend. I love him so much. And we're so privileged to have him with us today on this show, the Pink Table Talk. You all give a round of applause from wherever you are for Dr. E. Dewey Smith Jr.
Thank you, my sister. I appreciate you. Glad to be here with my brothers on today to have this conversation.
Yes, sir. All right. So we went through kind of some heavy stuff in our last episode. So this one, we're going to start talking real candid. And I want you guys to really tell us the truth. You have already, let me say that. You guys have done a great job with our part one with doing that. So we're going to start out with our relationships. Now, me and my pastor have a disagreement on one thing. And he probably knows what it is, but he probably didn't. He might not know.
I think I do.
He knows because he be coming on TV, on Hope TV, and he says it on all the single shows I've kind of noticed. And I still am like, But the thing that he talks about is women, I won't say approaching a man, but making herself available so that a man can, I don't know how you say it, but I don't believe in approaching a man. And I believe that he kind of feels that you should in this day and age, but I feel like I need to be caught. So we're going to talk about that first because I talked to Pastor Trey about it and he gave me a whole nother aspect from the millennial side. And I'm like, oh, really? So let's just get started with that. So who wants to go first? Let's talk about the question is, look, let me go back. The question is, should a woman approach a man if she's interested in him? Let's start there. Should a woman, from a male perspective now, I'm asking all three of you, should a woman approach a man if she's interested in him? And if she should, how should she do it? Trey, you want to go first? Go ahead.
I was going to defer to Pastor Smith just to hear his expertise.
What? Well, let me. Well, since she just threw me on the bus, I first. All right.
I just said what you see.
Okay. What I said was, if a man starts a new job at State Farm and they work on the floor and a woman sees this guy for 2 weeks, he's a new guy, she thinks he's an attractive guy, she's been watching him. There's nothing in the world wrong with her going up to introduce herself to him. Nothing wrong with her saying to the guy, hey, if you need anything, I've been here working for 4 years. I'm here, my name is such and such, such, such. And, if you want to ever go downstairs in the break room or get lunch, whatever, till you get familiar with the area, nothing's wrong with it. I didn't say she should go and throw her clothes at it, throw her panties at it. I didn't say she was asking to marry. I just said to make an introduction. That's all I said.
I didn't because say that we didn't go that far now. Hold on, wait a minute.
Because I don't think nothing is wrong with letting somebody know that you're interested or you're available. I think you still can keep your dignity and your class. And it's funny you said that because I want you to watch The Marriage Matters with Javon Moore, Loria. Javon Moore's wife, Mia said on the show that when they went Morris Brown in the band, Javon was the band director at Morris Brown. She was a Bubbling Brown, majorette. She said that she stared at him for 2 weeks to make sure he saw her staring at him. And after staring at him for 2 weeks, he finally said, do you want me to take you for a drive? Can we go somewhere? And she said yes. And after 2 weeks of staring him down, they went on a ride together. And 31 years later, here they're here, still together, 3 kids, built the family together. But it all got started because she stared at it. Now,
that's fine. You can stare. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that.
Well, that's nonverbal communication. She was non-verbally letting him know that she. And I just think this whole when a man finds a wife, and my Boaz gonna find me. I think some of you is gonna be stuck for the next 10 years because you're not being available. Make yourself available to let the man know to let him know that you're available. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I'm done.
I'm done. I said all that and I'm done. Okay, so let me go back. So this is the thing. I believe that you can do nonverbal communication. I do believe you can introduce yourself in the right way. However, I don't think that it's good because a lot of women now are doing the DM thing where they just lighten up DMs like, oh, I like him. Hey, and hitting it, So I don't know how far that will go because one of the ladies said on Grown and Sexy, she talked about when you're extremely assertive with a man in the beginning, you have to continue doing that throughout the relationship. And it's like you're almost emasculating them in a sense, in my opinion, from what I've seen and what I've experienced. So, okay, who wants to go? Look, who wants to go next after all of that beautiful talk?
Listen, I want to get a benediction after what Pastor Smith said. He shut it down. I think he's exactly right though. I think there's a difference between being thirsty and putting yourself in a position to be noticed. You understand what I'm saying? And so I feel like in this day and time, it's you can put yourself in this line of sight, or if on the break time he normally is in the, stays in a certain area. You could walk by there, all that kind of stuff like that. I don't think anything is wrong with that. I don't think that violates the he that findeth the wife findeth the good thing and all that kind of. I don't think it violates that. I think sometimes we take that so literal that we forget that sometimes that God, Adam didn't go looking for Eve. The Bible says God brought her, and he recognized her when he saw her, right? So it could be God letting you walk in the right direction or be in the right place to be noticed. To see, I'll give you a real clear example. My pastor, Dr. Michael E. Jackson, tells of this story of how he met his wife. They've been married for 48 years now. And he says that he saw her. She wasn't trying to be noticed. She was getting an award at their college at Bishop State, which is a local college here. And he says that once he saw her walk up those stairs with that little short mini skirt and the boots she had on, he says, one of his hands shot up like that and said, "That's my wife." And so it was, she was just happened to be, walking in the right place at the right time. So I think that can happen. But I think there's a difference between just thirst trapping and all, and you got to push the girls up, so to speak, or I think there's a difference between making yourself noticeable and just trying to draw just attention to yourself because you just on to the next one, so to speak.
Right. Okay. Bishop?
I think that a lot of ladies want to be caught, but on the flip side, they make themselves uncatchable.
My God.
Because they've heard this statement: the man is the hunter, woman is the prey, and that's true. Man is the hunter, woman is the prey. But unlike the prey in the woods, you can't be running from me.
Mm.
You got to slow down and let me catch you.
Bishop.
They make themselves uncatchable with attitudes. They make themselves uncatchable. Man speak to you and you act like, he's insulted you. You gotta put yourself in position so that a man can catch you if you want to be caught. You can't be running like a deer in the woods, thinking a man is gonna chase you down. This is a whole different day, whole different mindset. These are different times. A man is not gonna beg you to be caught. You got to slow down and at least give that man a hint that I kind of like you too. Can't be pretentious and acting like it's here, there, don't matter to me. Listen, if the man has garnered your attention, you like the man, and it is obvious that the man likes you, stop playing these games. Slow down and let the man catch you. Now you can run like a rabbit. You're gonna be in the woods by yourself like a rabbit.
And Loretta, you know what? I was just thinking too. You know the story of Ruth and Naomi. When you
Mm-hmm.
read that story, when you read the story, the mother-in-law told her that you go over
Yep.
there and you find what it do this. You go over and make yourself known. You go, matter of fact, go in and work in that field. Go over there and lay down. You go over there and put
That's right.
yourself in position. She got that wisdom
Yeah.
from her mother-in-law. So
That's
she
true.
wasn't just sitting
That's
back waiting
exactly
for
right.
Boaz to be found. She put herself in position. She wasn't running from him like Bishop just said. She wasn't a rabbit. She allowed herself. It's like she wanted to be caught. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's
I'm
exactly
a
right.
rabbit, but I'm gonna stay right here till you shoot me. I'm not gonna run when you shoot. You know? So I
Right.
agree with him wholeheartedly. You know?
Right, right. I get it. And that makes sense. Okay, so we got an understanding because I was unclear on what you were saying when you kept, and I'm like, wait a minute now. Now I can't be going up to no dude like, hey, how you doing? When we gonna go out? Like but I
I didn't say
understand
it.
getting the
Yeah.
homicide. I get it now.
Well, let me ask you this question. What about these ladies that are not asking men to marry them? Y'all got a problem with that too?
That's way, we don't even look. No. That's
Well,
you just didn't go.
I don't want my daughter to do it. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't want
that's
my
a good-
daughter to ask no man to marry me. You know, marry
Not
her.
at all. Look, y'all got me so far in the question and I done forgot what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm sitting here like, what is it? What do we need to be doing?
Yeah.
What's going on? But I will say this, and while you were talking about wisdom of Naomi, and this can go to a lot of other ladies, Miss Letice Reynolds at church, she told me, she said, she stopped me one day because I had this tendency. I walk fast. I'm always moving. I'm always going. She said, Laria, you got to start slowing down. And I said, ma'am? She said, can't nobody approach you if you always walking fast. And I said, okay, yes, ma'am. And now I glide through the House of Hope Atlanta. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing today? Is everybody
Slide through.
okay? How are you doing? Yes. But if you ever notice Sister Reynolds, if you go to our church, when she's walking, she glides when she walks. And she's an epitome of a woman who's just classy, and what you all are saying is exactly
Indeed.
true. You can't get caught because I'm moving so fast. I'm always, oh, hey, how y'all doing? Okay, it's so good to see you guys. All right, have a good day. And we do that at work, and I'm always focused on what I got going on. That makes a lot of sense. Thank y'all for conviction today. I appreciate it.
Our message is not to cheapen yourself. Our message is to give a person an opportunity to see the quality. When your quality, I always say to our church, you never see a Rolls Royce commercial. You see Toyota all day, but you never see a Rolls Royce commercial because Rolls Royce understands it doesn't have to advertise. Because quality speaks for itself. And when your quality is on display, somebody's gonna come to see it.
That's true.
And you just stay right where you are. They're coming the way you are, but you can't be running.
Wow.
Can't be running.
Wow. Okay. Well, look, we're going to switch gears because I guess I done took up enough of my time with my own questions. Look, I at least had to get one in. I was like, look, I'm the host. At least let me have one question, please. I just need to get clarification on this one. And we can go on from there. Now, let's get back to the women of hope questions.
Okay.
Our next thing that we wanted to talk about, this is for our married ladies. Okay, so we have a lot of men, and men love their mothers. And I believe that all three of you, love your moms, and I've heard you all talk about them. So how, as a wife, can you keep that relationship good, in-law relationships, where the guy is still trying to put his mom ahead of the wife? What advice could you give for a woman who's kind of struggling with the in-laws, with trying to, I guess, sometimes it's a silent beef between the mother-in-law and the wife. So how do you keep that relationship good where your husband is not put in the middle? Because that happens a lot of times. It's like, well, you need to tell your mama, and your mama and them, should the wife ever get involved? How do you all handle that? And I'll start with you, Pastor. How did you handle that, your in-law situation with Andrea?
Well, to be honest, my marriage with Andrea and harmony with my mother and my sisters was not good at all from the beginning. It was not good with my mother was worse with my sisters, but it was not good with my mom, because you understand, my mom had been married for 24, 25 years, had been a first lady for 17, 18 years before she got divorced. So when my mom got divorced from my dad, she still went to my dad's church for a few years. So when I started pastoring, so she still went. I don't know how in the world they did that. I didn't know what the heck I've done that. She still sat in her same seat for years after they got
Wow.
divorced. It's the quickest
Wow.
thing I've heard in my life. I'm glad I wasn't there. So uh, insane. But anyway, so when I started pastoring, after a few years, she started to come to support me at Woodland. I was single, so past anniversary, you come sit with me, all that kind of stuff. Sit, walk me down the aisles. So she was the de facto first lady, I guess. So what she lost, I think, from being the first lady at my dad's church, she kind of regained some of that, I think, with me as her son, right? So the respect, the parking spaces, the esteem. So because she still was grieving. Well, now here comes Andre, 5 years after I've been pastoring. So I'm not walking. So you're not sitting with me no more at the pastor anniversary up front in the front seat. You're not
Wow.
sitting at the head table right beside me at dinner. You're at the front table, but your seat ain't right beside mine. Like it's not right beside mine like it used to be. She never said it, but I think it kind of bothered her, because before, when she needed money, she called me, and whatever she said, I did it. No questions asked. Now she calls, she need money. I'm still gonna do it, but now it's okay. Let me run this by Andre. I'm gonna send Andre over there. So now there's somebody else involved in this conversation, and I think it was problematic. So, but my sisters were straight ghetto toward Andre for the first 2 weeks. The first 2 months or so. And I don't know why. I mean, I had dated somebody else, and I think that's what it was, because I didn't tell them all my business. So, particularly my younger sister, she was terrible. But anyway, one Sunday at the church, Andre just called him and told him, because we did everything to show love, and I just told him, I didn't know this was happening. I was in my office, and she just told him, listen, we're gonna be okay whether y'all support us or not. One of my sisters was late to my wedding. She didn't get inside because we closed the door. My sister, yeah, so she didn't make it inside for the wedding. If you look on the wedding picture, she's looking like an orangutan. She showed all the blackness of her behind the whole thing, right? And she with the Lord now. She passed away. Well, let's hope she with the Lord now. But anyway, she
You
showed her
need to
behind.
stop, Pastor. Stop it.
I'm just being funny. She with the Lord now. But seriously, I'm serious. I'm just playing. She with the Lord, but she showed her butt, seriously. And they had a conversation. She told him, "Listen, I love y'all. I love your brother, and I'm gonna support him. I'm gonna do what I can for y'all. But whether y'all support me or not, I'm gonna be his wife, and it's not gonna change anything. So how y'all feel about me does not matter." I didn't know that conversation happened, and from that moment on, they became closer to her than me. They talked to her more. Even to this day, my older sister Charlita talks to Andrea more than I do. And my mother got to that point where if she wanted something, she talked to Andrea more than she. So the Lord, prayer, but understood the ground. But now, if something went wrong in the family, I would say I'm gonna have it'd be my responsibility to deal with my side, and vice versa. But from that point on, the Lord fixed it, and he turned the situation around. So
Right.
I would just say prayer and honesty and love. Don't get down their
Right.
level. Don't fight fire with fire. That's what I would say.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you guys have anything to add to that, or anything about mama's boys, or any women ever
I,
challenging you on that?
I think the greatest thing Pastor just said was, his wife's things didn't turn until she confronted it. Until she confronted it with honesty, blatant honesty. Stuff doesn't just die, you got to kill it. And the way you kill it is through communication.
My God.
My dad used to say, where there is communication, there's no room for imagination. So when I communicate about it, I take all of, your little mindsets and your little thoughts and all of that stuff. I take all of that away. And the moment she communicated and confronted it, she was able to cure it. But I think my advice would be to ladies, as you come in and there's an aggressive mother, aggressive sisters, and all of the above, because you got to understand, in their minds, they've had ownership of him all of his life. That's my brother. That's my son. Better not be the baby boy. That's my baby.
Oh,
you
yeah.
understand what I'm saying? All of his life, that has been their mindset. So when the wife comes in, I think she has to kind of in the embryonic stages of the marriage, let them know, I'm not coming as a subtraction. I'm not coming to make a subtraction. I'm coming to make an addition. I'm not taking your son. I'm adding a daughter if you allow me to be. But the only way to deal with it is through honesty and through confronting that issue.
Wow.
That's good.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good. Only thing I would add, I'm a little at a disadvantage with this particular subject. I've never been married, but I love what Pastor Smith shared. And one of the things that stuck out to me that he just shared is that Andrea knew her. She had a security in who she was to him, and so she didn't see their dislike as a knock against who she was to him. And I think there's a certain security in your own self that has to exist so that you don't mistake some of the early on issues that may arise because there's a letting go, there's a tearing apart. When you're secure with yourself, stuff like that will roll off. And notice the statement that Pastor Smith said. She said, we're going to be good. I'm going to be his wife no matter what y'all do. And to have that level of security within yourself, then you automatically don't take it as fiery darts. You take it as them adjusting to the new relationship. And so I think that's key. That if that woman is insecure, that battle is going to be intensified because she doesn't know who she is in the relationship.
Right. Wow.
That's good.
Wow.
But the power of it is this, though. He's the one that made her secure.
Absolutely.
Right.
Wow.
He's
Absolutely.
Wow.
it is incumbent upon the man to make sure that wife understands her place and understands I am leaving and cleaving. That's going to be my mama all of my life. But from this moment on, you are the primary woman in my life. You know what I'm saying? And when a woman has that kind of security given to her by the man she's married to, she can endure and weather that storm and come out, the way Sister Smith came out.
That's wow.
That's good,
That's
man.
great. That was really good. Thank
That's
you all
good.
for that. There is I don't want to say it's a rumor that goes on that women tell each other, but and I've heard this too. If a guy doesn't approach a woman, or if he doesn't find her attractive or whatnot, there's this thing that women tell each other. He's just intimidated by you. He's he's intimidated, girl. And I want to know from a man's perspective, are you guys ever intimidated by a woman? Does it ever happen where she got me to back off, or does it cause you to go forward?
Sometimes he's just not that into you. Sometimes he's just not that into you. Personally, I don't ever really remember being intimidated by a woman. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but I've not had that experience.
Look how he said that, and then he put his head down like, yeah. Go ahead.
I have. I don't think I've ever been intimidated by a woman. I think in situations there's a such thing in cases where I think that a guy can meet a woman and determine, especially depending on what he's looking for, because there are some that are looking for a pit stop, so to speak. I'm using that to be as gentle as I possibly can.
I was about to say, A pit stop. I like that
Yeah.
expression. Okay.
But I'm
hitchhiker.
just trying to be.
Don't be a
Listen,
pit
I don't have
stop.
the latitude that Pastor Smith has, so I'm gonna keep it PG. But I think when sometimes if a guy is looking for that, and that's not always readily seen in his intentions, if a guy meets a woman that he feels like this is gonna be some work, what he'll do is move on to the next because he realizes when he sees her, yeah, this can't be a pit stop because she's not gonna allow me to do that. And so I think in certain cases that is the case, but I think Bishop is right. I think sometimes women to help themselves deal with rejection will invent
Yeah.
these theories such as, "Oh, girl, you just too much for him." No, baby, you just may
Right.
not be it for him. And,
Right.
and it has nothing to do with your job and nothing to do with your pedigree. It's just he just may not be feeling you. Because and I get it, you see yourself as the catch, but he may not be trying to catch you. So yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry to be
Yeah.
so blunt, but
Oh, you fine.
No, it's good. You know, I think some men are afraid of rejection.
that is
I
true.
think there's a fear of rejection, but I don't know if fear of rejection is the same thing as intimidation. Because sometimes
Right.
that be more personal. And I will say some guys are insecure. I do know some guys who may have an issue if a woman made more money than them. You know, when I first started
Right.
dating, when I first married Andre, she made way more money than I did. And I know some of my colleagues who never would have done that. So I don't know if that's intimidation or just insecurity. So because if you're insecure, they need to have more. So that's what I've experienced. I don't know if I was ever, I'm like Bishop, I don't know if I've ever been intimidated by somebody. I think fear of rejection, um, not want to be turned down, fear of embarrassment, and some guys are insecure, so they have to dominate and be the man. And if a woman makes more
Right.
money than them, they feel less than. You know, for me, for me, it was like, you know, hey, it's us. If we together, every time you get a raise, you know, your increase adds to my bottom line. So it didn't bother me that way. But some guys are affected by it. I don't know what you call that.
Right.
I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I
My,
always
my
say,
mindset
I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
my mindset would be, would you please make more money than me? Could you please?
We'll take it. It's all
Make me
coming
look bad.
in.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody mad about that
Yeah.
at all.
At all.
But I think it's one of those things that women say to each other to make us feel good. Because I had a friend to tell me that. I was like, that man ain't intimidated by me. I mean, he probably just don't like me. It's okay. You know, things happen. So, yes, thank you for that. My
Yeah.
next question. Okay, so I just saw this funny thing. Alton Walker, who has a show here on Hope TV as well. He was talking about how he was joking around as if he were a prophet. And he was telling the lady that the pastor couldn't prophesy to her because he didn't know her because her makeup, she looked like somebody else because she was doing the contouring. You got to see it. It is hilarious. Hilarious. And he talks about how, you know, he's trying to give you a word, but your makeup is too thin. You look like somebody else. He didn't even know who you was.
Listen.
So that's what I want to kind of talk about really quickly about this makeup situation. And I know, you know, men, I know ladies, they got the thing too with the lace fronts as well, a lot of men. But we're talking about
Not here.
us today from a male perspective, once again. So my question is makeup, how I'm trying to figure out how to word this. How do you all feel about the contour and the thick makeup? Do you like the natural look? As men, when you see that, do you feel like, okay, we need to go swimming so I can see what you really look like? or
Listen.
or you
Listen.
know, what do you really look like now? How do you all deal with that? Because I know a lot of women who, I mean, they spend an hour and they look like somebody completely different. And when you see them, it's like, I get catfished by women. I'm like, who are you? You know, so what does that look like for men? And
Oh
you
my
all
God.
like, do you like it as long as it looks good? Is it, Do you like minimal, for our natural people who just, pop on a couple of little, what do you all say about that?
For me personally, I prefer natural beauty. I've dated people who look like they could have been on display at the local funeral home with that level of thick makeup, and I'm like, you know, and I've dated somebody who said, I said, well, when am I ever gonna see you with your makeup off? And she said, when you put a ring on. And I was like, that's the prerequisites to see who you really are. And and thank God for Facebook. I went back in time in Facebook 10 years earlier before she mastered the art of concealer, and I realized that she looked like Beyonce in 2018, but looked like Sojourner Truth back in 2010. So, so I'm sorry, but I'm just being honest. I mean, and I had to go back, and I was like, you look older, younger than you do right now. But so just that a level of natural beauty. Of course, I'm not demonizing makeup and all that kind of stuff. But I think for me, and I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but when I see a woman with layers of makeup, to me, that's a signal and a red flag that something's not right beneath that. And for me, I'm gonna be slower in my approach when you look like you could be showcased, like you say, in one of the funeral home catalogs, as this is our makeup package one. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
All
yeah.
right. Bishop,
I,
you
I
fine.
think I think that a lot of y'all need to be arrested for false advertisement.
My God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know,
We do.
there's a story that my father used to tell about the man who married a woman, and they had not consummated the relationship. So on the night of the honeymoon, she started taking off stuff. So she took her hair off and took her lashes off and popped her eyes out and started taking off stuff and putting it in the drawer. And when she got through, he stood there and she jumped in the bed and she said, "Come on." And he looked at her and looked at the drawer and looked at her and looked at the drawer. And then finally she said, "What's wrong? You've been waiting for a year." He said, "I don't know whether to get in the bed or the drawer, because it looked like the woman I married was in the drawer." Listen, I think you got to have a balance. I don't
Yes.
think that you ought to make yourself up to the point that you don't look like you.
Yeah.
I think that if you're ever going to really attract a man's heart, he has to see the essence of who you are. He's got to see you in your splendor and in your glory. He's got to see who you are, not who you pretend to be. We're living in such a pretentious, fake, fictitious, false society. It's almost impossible to find anything real. So, I'm not saying don't wear makeup. I'm saying don't wear too much makeup, because at a certain point, what are you covering up? Let us see who you are.
Right.
Let us see who you are.
Yeah.
I agree. It's so many enhancements out here. I mean, plastic surgery and pads
Yeah.
and this and and I think it's important that if you're gonna get serious with somebody, they need to know that. Now I do remember, and I know beauty is relative; it's in the eye of the beholder. But I remember, you know, I swore I didn't like weave. You know what I mean? I didn't like a woman with weave, right? And because I just like natural. But then when we start going on vacation, she would explain to me, she started getting braids. She would explain, I want to be able to get in the pool. I want to be able to go swimming or get in the ocean, come back and
Right.
just whatever. And so it took me a while, because at first she wanted to do it. I was like, no. We keep. Then she explained, nobody do my hair, So I adapted to it, and now I like it. you know.
Right.
But it was like, but it was something, you know. We go, I like when she does it now, you know. Sometimes I tell her to do it even when we don't have anywhere to go. But
Mm-hmm.
I had to adapt to it. It was something we kind of walked through together. She didn't bamboozle me, so. But I'm like brothers. I'm like my brothers. You know, I think natural, who you are. If that's not attractive enough,
Right.
if you fake to get them, you have to fake to keep them. And I just don't think it's gonna be sustainable. I'm with them.
Amen.
Maria, the bottom line is this: if you don't like who you are,
Mm.
what makes you think I'm gonna like who you are?
That's
You
Lord
got to
have
true.
love
mercy.
you before you. If you don't like, if you don't love you, and if you're not into you, you're not qualified to be jumping in a relationship with somebody else, expecting them to give you what you have not given yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Wow.
Have
Yeah.
mercy.
That's good. That's good. He gives those points where I'm like, hold on now. I was trying for my next question, but now you got me back in. That was good. That was good. That
It
makes
was.
a lot, because I know we did a session on beauty, and our person Ebony Hall, I love her so much because her makeup, she always talks about accenting your features. It shouldn't be something where you just look like a whole nother person. And she talked about that even with the makeup. She said your skin should look supple. You should just look like somebody. I guess somebody should just be able to eat your face off. Just you just look
Right.
good. You know, it accentuates who you already are. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes, we get caught. And this makeup is a beautiful thing. So ladies, please do not come to me saying,
Indeed.
yeah, makeup is
It
Right.
great,
is.
but I think it has its place.
Enhancement.
Yeah, it has its place. And you need heavier
Yeah.
makeup. A lot of those women who are wearing the contouring, those are celebrities who have to be photographed 800 million times. So they're putting all those layers on for a reason. They're not just going down the street to Walmart. But you can do it if you want to. But I'm just saying, yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
my next question is, what are characteristics of a woman that you love and respect? What are characteristics of a woman that you love and respect? And this may even go back to your own moms, your mothers, what you saw in them that you love and respect, or what do you look for and what can you see in a woman that you love and respect? What are those characteristics?
Mm.
Intelligence would be the first word that comes to my mind. Um, there's nothing more beautiful to me than an intelligent, God-fearing, of course, woman. Intelligence is the first thing that comes to my mind.
That's mine too.
I would
Yep.
say
Lord.
empathy. A woman
Empathy.
that can put herself in your shoes, and
Yeah.
empathize with you at a level where she's in the struggle with you. Uh, so many times I've been in relationships where there was a low level of empathy, so the relationship was not saying that it should have been totally catered, but there's a certain catering that must happen when you're dealing with a man who is progressive, that's pursuing and that's doing things. And I think if a woman can be empathetic and put herself, then she, as a woman, knows how to reach her man, love her man, take care of him. But you have to be able to put yourself in that person's shoes to say, okay, what would I need if I was in his position? What would I need to do to take the load off? And so for me, I would have said intelligence first, but empathy is probably an important thing for me. Having somebody who can empathize with my situation.
Hmm. Okay.
I would say, loyalty.
Mhm.
Um, just loyalty. When you know that somebody has your back,
Right.
and they're just somebody who's gonna be with you, and thick and thin, good or bad, somebody who's been there. And and one of the things that I guess you didn't ask this, you didn't ask this, but a woman who is secure in her femininity and her womanhood. One of the things that's really in this whole womanist, feminist kind of movement, because I believe in
Mhm.
gender justice and gender equality. But I'm seeing with a lot of women, there's an anger, or I gotta compete with a man, or I gotta always
Right.
prove that I'm better than, it's like they come from a place of deficit versus you don't have to, whatever you do as a woman, be that. You don't have to be a man.
Right.
And I think, so since somebody who's secure in that femininity and that womanhood, that even though women are, you know, treated with injustices and inequity, but it doesn't create an anger where I'm just bitter and angry and always fighting. And, you know, how can I still rise to the forefront, but never lose a sense of my woman, the womanhood and the femininity? That's one of the things that it's a security in that womanhood, you know, and that a lot of guys are being turned off by it, especially in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Believe it.
Too strong.
Most definitely.
Yeah, too strong. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I agree with you. Were you going to say, look, Bishop, were you going to say anything? You know, I'm used to always coming back to you. No, you good?
No,
Okay.
I think it's I think what they have said, empathy, loyalty, intellect. I think those are, you know, very, very strong points, and those are the things I appreciate. First thing, I'm of the sort that, you know, what you look like is not the main thing that gets me, you know, because I've met people who look like a million, you know, but wasn't worth a dime, putting $50 hats on $5 heads. You know, they
Right.
just did not have the intellect, didn't have a God consciousness, didn't have empathy, and certainly were not loyal, you know. So those are I think the things, some of the key components that make up a real woman to me.
That's awesome. I
Security
know
is
that.
another one. I think, like Pastor Smith said,
Yeah.
a woman who's secure in herself. I think a lot of times women masquerade strength, and so they masquerade as this they're strong, but it's really weakness. That's
Yeah.
really uh, beneath all of that. And I think it comes from I think these holes that are left in their lives emotionally, and sometimes to compensate for the hole that's there, they'll try to fill it with other superficial things and relationships and things of that nature. And what happens is a woman who does not know how to sustain and fulfill herself can't be fulfilled by
Right.
anybody, let alone another man.
Wow.
And so what
Wow.
happens is it's almost
That's
it's the
good, man.
equivalence of pouring water in a glass with a hole in it. You can fill it, but it won't stay full. It will never be enough. And when I
Yeah.
meet women who have this innate hole within them, be it from the absence of a father, or some traumatic situation, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing anybody can do. And so one person is never enough. So there's always a problem. There's always a gap. And it's really not on the other person. It's really that you hadn't fixed your hole. And so the hole that is left in your heart, or your mind, or wherever it is emotionally, I've seen a woman who understands that and doesn't try to, fill that with things that really don't really matter. I think, to me, that's a very sexy thing, where a woman doesn't necessarily need me to fill in that hole. I hope that
Wow.
makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Can
Me
I
and Trey
say
talking
this?
about it. Go ahead.
Can I say this? You know, a lot of women I've discovered think they want great men, but the question is, can you handle a great man? And
We
you
talking
know,
about
just
that.
piggybacking on that security thing that both of you have talked about. That security thing is big when it comes to a great man. You know,
Oh my
a man
goodness.
Right.
who's called to people, and some of
Mhm.
those people are women. The
Mhm.
majority of those people are women. You know, can you handle being the wife of a E. Dewey Smith? Can you handle being, you know what I'm saying? Without standing on the pulpit, rolling your eyes at every woman that hugs him after church? Or can you go on home in security, understanding this is my man? And when he get through hugging and greeting people, he's coming to my house, get in my bed, spend the night with me. You understand what I'm saying? And the rest of it with me. when you ask for certain types of men and certain types of relationships, question you need to ask yourself is, do I have what it takes to be able to facilitate that? Is it a
Right.
sustainable model or not?
That's right.
My God.
I just had that
Have mercy.
conversation with Pastor Woolfolk. We talk
Yeah.
offline a lot about his
Yeah.
his relationships as his sister, and
Yeah.
and it's always an issue. We've noticed from a lot of the women that, and they're beautiful, intelligent women, but
Yeah.
if he got
And
to hug Sister Susan May, and you
Right.
standing there like, what
I
you
don't want to
holding
fight
hugging
with you
this
every
old
time I
lady
come
for?
home about who I hugged.
Right, right.
I don't want to fight about who I hugged today.
Yeah, yeah. It's
and
the same
That's
thing.
true.
that's one of the things I've always admired about Pastor Smith and Lady Smith, and I've known them for years now, and just seeing as great of a man of God as he is, as he's on platforms everywhere, and to see her embrace it in a way where it's not taking attention off of him, you know,
Mhm.
it's literally celebrating, and I think that's even empowering to other women, seeing the security and how she literally has to share him with the world. But
Mhm.
still, if you catch the camera angle right, if he's going in, you'll see Sister Smith in the aisles waving, yelling back at him. I mean, just to see that embracing and that security. I think that comes, but I think if you're insecure, instead of celebrating your man, which is what you should be doing, you're looking at things to nitpick that man. And a great man, there's some things that he shouldn't have to talk about. Because when you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, there are certain conversations I believe that are just too small for you to deal with. So I
Right.
always admire, and I've said that to Pat Smith outside of this, but just seeing that security demonstrated in that way
Mhm.
has also given me a profile of what I need to look for when
Mhm.
it comes to a wife. Just seeing that man that shakes thousands of hands every week, she's sitting there off to the side, and by the time he makes it to the office, she's there. And there, and I've seen, he's getting out of his clothes, and she goes in, and it's seamless. And to see that kind of security demonstrated, like the way I was blessed to see with them, has for me given me like a rubric, like, okay, you need to look for this. Like if I can't go from shaking hands, and you don't need to be affirmed or validated in front of anybody because you know who you are. You understand
Right,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I've always marveled at that, just to see the strength and security of just being okay with being in the background,
right,
which
right.
honestly is so rare. And I can speak for millennials. We say that one of the most toxic drugs out there is attention. There are people who are addicted to it, and
Mhm.
when you're with a great man, you can't be addicted to attention, because what you will
Right.
start to do, you will start to use his platform for you. But when you
My
have
God.
somebody that is secure, when you have somebody who's secure, like a Andrea Smith, it's demonstrated in such a way to where she's graceful and she carries her strength differently. And I think in this culture, women have been pushed to show their strength in being seen. Our earlier mothers understood. Your mother understood how to be strong, but still stay back and let him shine. Because when he wins, we all win. Yeah. So it's not
Well,
a
and it's the
competition.
same way. Yeah, and I was going to say too, the great thing about, and since we're talking about our lovely Andrea Smith, who we love so much, um, when she has to do something, Pastor's always so supportive of her. When it's her
Yeah.
time to shine, it's like, yeah, baby, you go ahead on and you do it. And for him to be so honest about when they first got married, how she made so much more money than him and how he was her cheerleader.
Yeah.
He was
Way
so
more.
excited about that. Those
Yeah.
things show she's a whole person and he's a whole person. So
Absolutely.
when they came together, it made what it is now. You know what I'm saying? So I think that sometimes we slight ourselves in becoming whole and trying to look for somebody else to feel that. And that can go both ways with men too. Because there are some men who use women's
Absolutely.
platforms to get to where they,
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
just had to put that
Absolutely.
out there too.
Absolutely.
Well,
Well, we're gonna
all
go.
you said is
Oh,
that
go ahead.
all you've said is that she does not hitchhike on his greatness. She
Right,
understands that she
Mm,
has a personal
Jesus.
greatness.
right.
I say all the time, you know, two incomplete people get together and you make one complete mess. Everybody
Hmm.
has to be
My
whole coming
God.
to the table. So she
My
doesn't
God.
hitchhike on his
Jesus.
greatness. And because she doesn't hitchhike on his greatness, she's not jealous of his greatness. And because he's
Right.
not hitchhiking on hers, he's not jealous of hers. So it's a strong support system. And
Hmm.
that's a powerful thing. When a woman is insecure, she cannot deal with a great man. And when a man is insecure, he can't deal with a great woman.
Wow.
Wow.
Goodness.
Yeah, let me add something right quick to that, because
Uh-huh.
I've been thinking about this. This is the first time I said this, but I've been thinking about it. You know, and Trey Young kind of mentioned it, and Bishop just talked about it as well. We gotta. I'm hearing a whole lot of talk about power couples. I want to form a
Yeah,
power couple. Then we gotta be careful with that, because what does that mean? You know, we gonna. I'm looking to form a power couple. You
Hmm.
know, I think it's better. I want to have a healthy relationship that feeds me. Because if I'm just
right.
trying to find out that person so we can represent power,
Right.
then that's not a relationship. It's a photo op. And I just think,
Mm.
That's it.
even in church, so many pastors, and last 20 years, I'm gonna make my wife the co-pastor, and we both gonna sit up
Right.
here
Right.
together. You know, sometimes she can't spell preach or he can't spell preach, but we're gonna be
Right.
co-pastors together. You know what I'm saying? I just think that
Yep.
sometimes it's because, as Bishop said, they can't be individuals. So the title with such a thing, I just think we got to be careful about that. That I'm not trying to form a power couple, in
Right.
so much as I'm trying to form a stable relationship that feeds me, that we can benefit each other, love each other, and be together. Because I don't know if it's about forming a power couple. Is it is finding your purpose or something purposeful in the
Wow.
relationship? So I don't know about that. I just got my thoughts about it, but I see it all the time. Power couple. Hashtag black
Yep.
love. Power couple. I don't know if that's the pursuit. That may be dangerous.
It is.
There.
It seems like it's an accumulation of things, though, which is
Yep.
very, that's superficial stuff, and that doesn't mean anything long term. Y'all can go
Right.
out and have your degrees and make all this money, but what happens at home? Do you even talk to each other? Do you really love each other, or do you just have something where it's good for Instagram? Because a lot of
Right.
people are doing that, you know, and you know them
Yeah.
and you know their relationship, and then they come on Instagram and got all these pictures, and you're like, y'all don't
Cheek
even,
to cheek.
yeah,
Right.
y'all don't even like each
Lights,
other.
camera,
You
action.
know, it's like,
Like y'all don't
what's
even
Lights,
going
like each
on?
camera,
other.
action.
Yeah, but we're going to wrap up. I know I've gotten a lot of y'all's time, but thank you so much. But I wanted to ask one quick question. We just had our Mother's Day not too long ago. What is one thing that you learned from your mom? Because you all are great men, but there was a woman that gave birth to you, a great woman who did that. And only great women produce great men. And so I wanted to ask, what is one thing that stuck out to you that your mom taught
Mm.
you?
Wow.
Strength for me would be strength. I am a great admirer of the strength of my mother.
Mm,
I saw my mother deal with my father in the early stages of his ministry as God delivered him from alcoholism and cleaned him up and changed his life. But even in the face of family members calling saying you ought to leave him, he ain't gonna never be nothing, my mother stood there. She stayed there, and she undergirded her husband and supported, and she was the strength of our family. And then when in 2000 I was sick unto death, I lost over 100 pounds in about a week and a half,
Wow.
and my mother stood by me. I had to leave my house and go back to my mama's house, move back into my mama's house while I was
mm,
sick. And
mm.
my mother was the strength for me. And she was my nurse. She was my confidant. So strength would probably be the the thing that stands out the most when I think about my mother.
Mm, that's awesome. Wow.
Wow.
Trey?
If I probably it's so many. I would say my mom taught me how to never put yourself in a position where you're at the mercy of somebody else. And by that I mean I always saw her demonstrate that she was always trying to better herself. She was never dependent on anyone. And to be able to live a self-sustaining life in the way she did, raising two boys by herself, I always saw her. So she consequently went to school for certain things to get a better job for this. And then when that dried up, she went to something else. And like she was continuously trying to keep herself free, so to speak. And so I think because of what she demonstrated with that, for me, it's given me the desire to never want to limit myself to one thing. That there are times that things dry up, but it's always good to be more than one thing. And so for me, seeing her ability to never settle and allow herself to be enslaved in any situation has also prompted me to be more than whatever the one thing that I feel like I may be able to do. So I'm now creating multiple streams for myself because I don't ever want to be enslaved to one thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's beautiful to hear my brother's stories. I think for me, my mom taught me the importance of just maintaining a pure heart and doing the best she could. She had her first child when she was 14, and so my two older siblings, sisters, and I, we were all, she was a kid when she had all of us. So she was a kid having kids, kicked out of church, disrespected by her family, kicked out of school, had to finish high school at the pregnant girls' school, Dudley Hughes, because she couldn't go to Battle Hudson. The embarrassment and the shame of being a teenage mom, in a marriage that you really wasn't healthy for you, but because that was the culture today. But, coming from abject poverty, in the projects when I was born, we lived in the Alphabet City, but to come through all that and all of the bitterness and the hatefulness and how she was treated, just so unkindly, and even went through a bitter divorce. But even on a deathbed, never let her heart become darkened, and so being able to get back up, no matter if it was a self-inflicted wound or somebody shot you from the outside, attempted murder, get back up and never go to bed at night with your heart not pure, because God blesses you. She would tell me based upon the quality of your heart. So I think that's the biggest lesson. I think get back up and keep your heart clean, keep a pure heart. I always ask God to keep you a pure heart and treat people right. And God knows I try to live by those lessons, and I miss it so much, but it's a great lesson that I carry with me to my grave, and a lesson I try to teach my boys. Keep a pure heart.
Wow. All right. I hate to see y'all go. This was so good. I'm so excited.
It was awesome. Thank you.
So glad that y'all were
Thank you,
able
brother.
to come to the Pink Table Talk today. Thank y'all so much for being here. We have Pastor Trayon Woolfolk. You can follow him. Bishop Samuel Blakes. Every day he's got his devotional. Same thing with Trayon. He's got one word. And of course, Dr. E. Dewey Smith. He's out at Help TV. So check him out. Thank you all so much for being here. Ladies, we learned so much these two parts. I know I did. So we'll see you next time on the Pink Table Talk.
Times that test our faith.
The job market is hemorrhaging.
African Americans have been hit hardest by the virus.
Hundreds of protesters demanding an end to emergency restrictions.
I'm Sarah Riggs-Amico, and I'm running for U.S. Senate because we need leaders who will fight for the world we want our kids to grow up in. I teach my daughters that faith demands action, not just words. That's why for decades, I've created jobs paid 100% of my workers' health care. Why I ran for office with Stacey Abrams, fighting for voting rights.
Your next Lieutenant Governor, Sarah Riggs Amico.
In the Senate, I'll stand up for working families because everyone deserves dignity and respect. I'll speak up for communities that have been denied justice. I'm Sarah Riggs Amico, and I approve this message because the problems we face are fixable, but Senator